Hello there and welcome to the channel. So I'm Patty. In today's video, we're gonna be hitting a question that was asked of me, and that is, how do you get a young trooper to balance equipment overload versus being light and lethal? Now, I've been in for 19 years, been a first sergeant for the last 2. I did a lot of outside the wire stuff, both Iraq and Afghanistan in my earlier days, and some of the biggest changes that I've really seen over time is what people are actually wanting to wear on their person, regardless of what your unit SOPs end up saying. So we were carrying 7, 8, 9, 10 rifle mags, frag grenades, incendiaries, smoke, you name it. We were carrying it, and that's what we were looking at. Hey, this here's what we need for being out here in both Iraq and Afghanistan. You're expecting some sort of firefight. Now a lot of guys, they want to wear 3 and 4 mags and a can of Zin and call it good. So we're going to kind of get into some of that stuff. I got some stuff on the board behind me. We're going to break out some gear to kind of help you guys out. When it comes down to it, hey, the stuff that we're carrying is going to be heavy, but there are things you can do to kind of mitigate some of the weight that you are carrying, and then just stop carrying dumb shit. So we'll get into that. Hope it's going to be helpful information, so stick around. All right, so we're just going to kind of break down super quick based off of most of our SOPs, most stuff that I've carried like myself, what a rifleman, little r, might end up need to carry on their person. So whether that be pockets, plate carrier, or your belt. So we're looking at your 6M4 mags, 2M18 mags, your IFAC, zip ties. Most of us are carrying about 2. Your multi-tool. Water is going to be a big one. A lot of us are no longer actually wearing water on our person, and instead, if you're mounted, you'll just kind of keep it there in the truck. If you get out, you got your dump pouch. You might throw 2 or 3 water bottles in there and carry that. It works. It's not the best. I definitely prefer having some sort of actual water canteen on myself, or an Nalgene bottle, bladder, what have you. But definitely have water on you. Compass. Non-negotiable. Everybody should have a compass, especially if we are setting up in the defense. You're going to need that when you start to actually doing your range cards. The headlamp, your NVGs with the mount. Please don't forget the mount. And then your note-taking material. And that's most of the stuff that you guys can end up carrying if you are E1 to about E4, at least for Air Force Security Forces. Over on the right-hand side is where we start kind of going into more of that NCO role, and that is having the radio. Just throughout my career, when I was an airman, I never had a radio on my person. It was always the team lead, fire team leader. He was carrying that, and then all of your marking equipment. So your VS-17 panels, the smoke, things of that nature. Really anything dealing with IR, so your chem sticks, your headlamps. I'm sorry, your strobe. And a lot of that was just because if everybody has a strobe going, well, now nobody can see shit. So really the fire team leaders and squad leaders have ended up carrying those. And right there's kind of your basic loadout. So as long as I'm carrying this, I will be lethal, all right, over a long period of time, okay? I give somebody a musket and a bayonet, they'll be lethal, but not for very long, all right? So we want to make sure that we're carrying enough stuff on ourselves to, sustain ourselves in that firefight, but also one of those things that we're really looking at is, if I start adding on to this, if your unit SOP says, hey, we're going to add this, okay, as long as it makes sense, cool. It's really when we start kind of deviating from some of these lists and people just start throwing random shit onto their persons. One of the biggest places where I see something like that is going to be back panels, right? If you have a dedicated back panel and that's for, flashbangs, it's got the 2 larger pouches on the bottom, and you have nothing to put in it, you just got it because it looks super cool. Most people end up looking at an empty and they're like, I cannot leave this as an empty pouch. I've got to put something in there. And now they're just adding extra weight, inside them. So stick to your unit SOP, stick to what you have to carry. And then if you have to start plussing up equipment, make sure that it makes sense. All right, so now we're going to kind of get into everybody's favorite part, and that's really talking about gear. One of the biggest ways where I can go about actually saving some weight is going from a plate carrier to a chest rig. Now, I know a lot of guys that are definitely, not huge fans of chest rigs. They want to be able to wear that armor, and really it's going to depend on where you're at, what you're doing. So I have used a chest rig for a lot of the ACE exercises. The daggers done at dagger school, they're using them depending on what mission they're actually training for, whether it be a plate carrier or a chest rig. And I've even seen a lot of the BDG guys doing some of their exercises. They're also wearing nothing, but a chest rig. So if I'm wearing a chest rig, I'm actually able to cut out all of the armor. Okay, so my front, back, side plates, my soft armor backings. So I'm actually able to lose a lot of weight that's right there. But one of the things that's really not talked about, whether it be from a chest rig or a plate carrier, that we can really start kind of being able to save some of the extra weight, is going to be on modern materials and modern designs. So I want to get this stuff on the table. We're going to kind of go over it. All right, so when I'm getting into talking about modern designs, I really want to kind of show you guys, the chest rig harness that I've been wearing. So this is the ARS Bravo from L4 Performance, and you'll notice that this is a lot thinner than most of the ones that you might see as far as your typical, H harness. One of the things about it, even though it's like super thin, is the way that it is designed. But the way that it is cut in almost like this X-shaped pattern with this little bit of reinforcement. Of course, we have like the cutouts that are here. Is that this right here? Actually, I can go from wearing, you know, a smaller chest rig, say if I'm carrying 3 magazines for whatever reason, to like, you know, a full-on tactical assault panel just loaded to the gills. And this right here still distributes that weight very, very comfortably, while itself also being lightweight. So I think that, you know, I'm able to save a few ounces just based off of, you know, not just the material that it's made out of, but its design itself. Now this right here, this is my go-to chest rig. This is the WC-SIG from L4 Performance. And when I'm talking about modern materials and modern design, this right here is really where I'm saving a lot of my weight. So this is the ultra lightweight version. I don't even know if it's still offered, but it is made of the X-Pack material. Now, if you guys are familiar with X-Pack, it's used in a lot of like mountaineering, hiking, like outdoors like gear. So it's super lightweight, durable, and waterproof. And the way that this chest rig is actually made is that this is actually one large piece of X-Pack material. It's then folded over and then it's actually sewn down to actually give it its shape. So the way that that differs from, say, something like a Mayflower chest rig is that you have, you know, your backing, and you've got to add like, you know, my M4 pouches, my radio pouches, and I'm adding extra material and all this like extra stitching, and that really starts to kind of like add up like on weight. What I have on either side, so these are here the old school Eagle Industries grenade pouches. I have 2 on either side, and no joke, if I am like comparing like weight, this entire chest rig itself weighs almost the exact same amount as just these 2 pouches. So like I said, modern materials and modern design can definitely help save you guys like weight in the long run. So looking at a plate carrier, so now how can we go about with a plate carrier cutting out some of that, you know, unnecessary weight? Well, once again, modern materials, modern designs. So this here is the Cry Precision. This is the Airlight structural plate carrier. Now, if I take all the extra pouches off of it, take the armor out, the front back plate bags and the cummerbund itself, like together, weighs just over 1 pound. Now, compare that to something like, you know, the MSV Gen 2 that's emptied out. Said, if I'm able to cut weight, I'm going to do it like wherever I can. And once again, said this here is not only extremely like lightweight, but it's also exceptionally comfortable and has been holding up very, very well. I would definitely recommend this plate carrier to anybody. If you guys have to wear the MSV Gen 2, I'm sorry, but if you don't, I would definitely look into getting, you know, a JPC or an SPC. Now, when I am looking at, you know, if I'm trying to like, you know, balance out like that weight, we went over all of like the stuff as far as, hey, you have to carry this amount of stuff like on you. So yes, I am wearing, you know, a placard that's on the front, and if you'll notice that I don't have anything like up front. Okay, I have all this empty molly and there's nothing here. I have been looking at getting one of the Blue Force gear, one of the 10-speed ones. I've seen a lot of guys like, you know, carrying it. It looks super useful just because I'm actually able to put, you know, extra magazines, like, you know, what have you. It's useful for carrying a lot of different things, but right now there's nothing on it because I don't have anything that needs to go into it. Okay, what I end up seeing is a lot of guys will see extra, like, you know, excess molly, and they'll be like, oh, I've got to put something there. And now they start winding up with all these like extra pouches. I was guilty of it. I was wearing this large admin panel that was on here. Then I realized that, wow, I could put all that stuff in my cargo pocket and I didn't need it. So being able to lose the pouches, said once again, just extra weight, the pouch itself and the items that are inside it, it just wasn't necessary. So said this right here is currently slick at the moment. So flipping this right here like over so you guys can see the back side of the plate carrier, of course the cummerbund itself. Said on either side I have my radio on one side, and on this side, like right here, one it helps kind of balance it out a little bit. This right here is actually the Cry. This is the Imbiter water bottle pouch. I keep this one because every now and then I do have to carry 2 radios. Currently it has the IFAC insert from L4 Performance and a European Medics. Great insert. But I said if I have to carry a second radio, I can always pull this out. I have a small dangler I can attach to the front. And then it said I put that radio inside here, still carry my medical stuff on my person. But it said for right now, it's just the way to have this here like set up. When I'm looking at the back portion of the plate carrier, okay, and everybody always like sees this right here. I know I've done videos talking about it. Said I saw Recondo Concepts doing this where he was carrying 2 rifle mags in the back, and said I started doing it and I absolutely love it. One is it definitely helps keep all that like weight. If I start sticking extra like mags like up front, it definitely starts kind of weigh me down, kind of pull me forward a little bit. Having 2 back here is outstanding. And of course, yes, I can definitely still reach them even like with the backpack on. And then of course, I really want to show you guys that, hey, so I do have this kind of like back panel that's on here. And this here is mostly just to kind of like prevent, you know, like the plates from being like seen, okay? So I do have this here like zippered down, but you'll notice that I'm not wearing like a back panel. I said I keep this right here, and what I've ended up like doing was I actually have one of the Haley flat packs. And said I've done a video on this right here. Definitely go watch that if you want to. But this right here kind of wraps around like up front. It does clip in like back here, clips in on the side, and now I can carry extra stuff if I need to. Really for me, this was looking at, once again, with all the agile combat employment stuff. I set my ruck down. I'm now like walking around like all over the place, and maybe I wanted to keep like, my wet weather gear. There's so much stuff I can put inside here. I can put my water bladder in here. It was just super useful to have, but also I can self-access it. But once again, it doesn't have to stay on all the time. So if I don't need it, it's super easy for me just to kind of be like to take off. And then on the other side, like I said, I do have my my radio pouch. I need to get a newer, updated one. This year's from SOE Gear. I've had this one for, God, probably since like 2012, I think. Very nice, but it's definitely a little bit like heavy. But you guys notice like right here, I have an empty pouch. Now I've already talked about it. If you don't need a pouch, don't wear the pouch. Me, this right here is that pouch where I'm actually putting, once again, that VS17 panel, all of like the signal marking stuff, smoke grenade. When it comes down to it is like right now, I'm not carrying that stuff, but in case I need to plus up onto it, I have the pouch already here. So this is actually from Blue Force Gear. You notice I have it kind of like folded up. There is like this cord that's over it. This is kind of keeping it like nice and flat. That way it doesn't get in the way of anything, but also so it's there in case I need it. So not something that everybody has to do, but definitely something that I would recommend you guys might try looking into. Now you'll notice on my gun belt, I try to keep this as simple as possible. I don't really want to say, once again, I'm trying to stay away from all that extra weight and overloading it. I do have a second belt from Hercules Tactical that I actually end up keeping, that's where all my frag grenades go and things like that, just off different mission sets. This one here is actually set up specifically to actually carry, my pistol. One of the things you'll notice is that I do have the T-Rex arms, these are the Mars carriers, and I have the Guardian Warrior Solution adapts that are holding on to it. They were being held on with the tech locks. The only reason why the tech lock is still on this one is just because where it's at, there's no molly right here, so I still have to keep it there. But I said I'm actually able to drop the weight of those tech lock carriers and just use these small Tegris pieces that are right here. Absolutely outstanding, love them. This pouch is back here. This is where I put my PVS 14s. Once again, they're carried on my person. And then over here, once again, is where Guardian Warrior Solutions really kind of comes to save the day. And this right here is the bang hanger from them. Now this right here actually replaces the Safariland drop module. I like it a lot. It's super lightweight. What I did end up doing is I actually attached, this right here is from Shaw Concepts. This is the, I want to say it's the Sidekick version 2. It does move back and forth way that it's attached. Really like it. It's super comfortable. I have been looking at a smaller one from Forge Concepts. It said if you need to run a leg strap, you don't have to get something that's this heavy. But I was also carrying the 320 on this to try to see how that would work. Said I really like this. Super helpful, but once again, not necessary for everybody. And then of course I'm just carrying my multi-tool on the back. All right, so let's go ahead and sum up. When it comes down to it, said how does a young trooper, how do you guys go about doing the light and lethal versus equipment overload? And really a lot of that is just don't carry the shit that you don't need to carry. If it doesn't need to go, if it doesn't serve a purpose, in that firefight or for what you're doing, it does not need to be on your plate carrier, on your belt, in your pockets. Go ahead and shove it into your assault pack, shove it into your ruck, leave it there and go back for it when you need it. So once again, modern materials, modern designs. So the early stuff, so Eagle Industries, Paraclete, Battle Labs, Diamondback Tactical, was great stuff for the time. Said it's currently 2024. We now have, these lightweight materials that are either as strong or stronger than that old school stuff that weighs ounces less. That's where you guys can cut some weight. The last one, guys, get fit or die. Look, if you are fat, we're talking about cutting excess weight, cut excess weight off of your person, okay? Eat less, move more. Now, I'm an old man, so I'm about to turn 40. I've had surgery on my wrist, shoulder, and both of my knees. Yeah, it's all service related. Going to be getting 100% VA disability when I get out. It sucks, but if I can still wear all this stuff, if I can still perform the mission, then so can these kids that are, 18, 19, 20, and so on. So it really just comes down to, as long as you are healthy, all right, so you are at least somewhat fit, right? We're not asking you to be PJs or something. I was and you guys are wearing, modern stuff. You're not carrying extra, just random shit. It's you guys should be all right. Now, I hope this here helps. Once again, this is all just my opinion. But if you guys have any questions about anything else, put it down in the comments. Shoot me a message. As always, I am here for you guys. Later.